Oh yeah, baby, we live. You are now watching Juke Boy Sports Show live from the Caribbean. I'm your host, King Ralph, here, my co-host and my homie Kai. What's happening, bro?
What's good? What's good? It's glad to be back. Thanks for holding it down for me last week, man. Like the song with Alchemist and Nina Sky, hold me now. Yeah, you youngins, man. If you don't know, check that out. That's a classic beat, man. But I'm good, man. I'm excited to talk about some football, talk about some NBA. The season is about a week and a half away coming up. So yeah, we got a lot of fun stuff, man, in this show. So I'm excited, bro. How about yourself, man?
I'm doing good, man. Last week was a blast, bro. Shout out to Joe and the On the Board podcast. We're going to end up being on there. He's more than welcome to come back. Even as he said he had another co-host. It'd be cool to have him on here too as well.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, man, I'm doing good. Chilling with my daughter, my dad. My brother's about to go to work, so
Family matters.
but we about to have some fun, man. First, before we get going though, so I spoke to bros about the flooding. I finally ordered the interface, so next week we should be back in the studio. So you want to get any photo shoots, music videos, podcasts like we have? They have two green screens. Call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fitboxer. And let's jump straight into it, man. Week 4 finally wrapped up. Week 5 power rankings released. Some crazy things happened. My Raiders. I'm still repping though.
Yeah.
Still repping. But we lose to the Chargers last night. What were 3 of your biggest takeaways?
Man. So my 3 biggest takeaways was my first takeaway is as long as Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs, they are still the most dangerous offense, I believe, in the AFC. Truly, I know that they suffered two losses prior to last game, and involved in a back and forth battle with the Philadelphia Eagles. But that was a game for me, Ralph, where you could start to see that they really started to click again, pick up their stride. I feel like they were really sluggish the last, coming into the season, even though they scored, I believe it was 35 points versus my Ravens. But I think when you look at Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes, throwing 5 touchdown passes, just going nuclear. They went straight nuclear on a team that they should have went nuclear on. You know what I'm saying? Offensively, and Tyreek Hill, they really started to get that in that flow, get that swag back. And we'll talk about them in the power rankings. I have them in my power rankings in the next topic that we do. But I think that as long as Mahomes is the quarterback there, that they're great. The second thing is for my second takeaway, the Arizona Cardinals, man. I said going into the season, and I think you actually mentioned that Kyler Murray was your pick for MVP, right? Unless you changed it. And I always said on paper, I believe he can win it. I really did, because I felt like it was going to be a situation kind of like Lamar, but with more weapons, offensive weapons. You know what I'm saying? And Lamar can definitely throw the ball because that's my quarterback, and I know he can throw the ball. He proved it. But Kyler Murray, just the way he runs out of that spread gun offense that he does with all the weapons that he has is just amazing. But Arizona, it looks like a college team, a high-octane college team having success in the pros. They look scary. Absolutely. Like scary, bro. Like they look like, my takeaway from them, bro, is they're a Madden team. They're a Madden team in real life. On both sides of the ball, you have Buda Baker, you have Chandler Parsons, you have Kyler Murray. I saw him complete a 3rd-16 with his legs. Last game, I was like, yo, this is insane. So for me, how the Arizona Cardinals were able to actually do work was amazing. So the Arizona Cardinals, to me, they're the real deal. And it looks like you went out your feet. Can you see? All right, perfect. You're back. All right, cool, awesome. So I'll just keep going. And then my third takeaway, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Big Ben needs to retire. He needs to retire. It's over. He needs to hang them up. If I'm Bill Cowher, next time that the Steelers are on TV and it's a CBS game, I'm looking right at the camera. I'm saying, Big Ben, come on home. We got a seat for you at CBS Studios.
Right.
You can take Boomer Esiason's job because Boomer's not good at his job. You can take Boomer Esiason's job, and and just come home. So those are my 3 takeaways on Big Ben. He looks washed. The Arizona Cardinals, they clearly, to me, they look like the best team in football. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, as long as they have Patrick Mahomes, they're a force to be reckoned with. So how about you, man?
For me, man, first off, I'm gonna lead with one of my first big takeaway. If you cannot stop the team from scoring, Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still there. You kind of froze up, but I can hear you.
Can you still hear me, bro?
Yeah, I can still hear you. There you go. All right, you're back now. I can see you moving. Can you hear me? Sorry, guys. We're just having some little bit of technical difficulties, but we will get through it. Just give us one moment. All right. So Ralph's going to try to go out and then come back in. But in the meantime, yeah, here he comes. Loading. And there we go. All right. Woo. All right. Yeah, you was like Inception, bro. You was in different angles on the screen. All right. Like, man, we're in Leonardo DiCaprio movie. Okay. All right.
And then we have some issues, but we're back on.
All right. So yeah, you were just kind of picking up where you left off. You're about to say your takeaway is if you cannot stop somebody on, I think, defense, right?
So pretty much one of my 3 big takeaways, and sorry, I'll put up my poor internet connection over here, but one of my 3 big takeaways is if you cannot stop a team from scoring, do not complain when they keep scoring or going after records.
Ooh, I see big man's good.
And so, like, I always hated like those things that are like unwritten rules, and it's like I think those things is cap. If you can't guard someone, get someone that can guard them or double team them. If you can't stop something, chalk it up. Just chalk it up. But like, hold your L with dignity, because when you were trying to score a touchdown with 10 seconds left, it was all good. But the moment I get the ball back, and it's like, hey, I wasn't expecting to get the ball back.
Right.
I'm gonna go for it since you was going for it.
Yeah.
And so it's like you go for it, you do your thing, you pull off, what was it, 23-7 victory.
It was a blowout, man.
In Denver. And it's like I don't get it. I hate when people are like that. If you can't stop somebody, just either make adjustments or just live with it, yo. Like, you gotta hold your L with dignity. The same way, like, you would have felt a certain way. Because if you cared that much about health of the players and getting off the field and things like that, then you wouldn't have been trying to go for touchdowns with 10 seconds left. So it's like people be out there capping, and it's like when you're the one on the losing end, you don't know how to hold that L, but you want other people to hold their L with dignity. So it's like, yeah, get up out of here with that. So with number 2, I was wrong, although they lost this week. I was wrong about Sam Darnold, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
Because one, at the end of the day, like when I make my my criticisms and I give my picks on people and my my analysis, or when I break down certain players coming out of college and things like that, I don't mean anything about these people personally. So I'm cool and happy with the fact that I was wrong. I truly believe that the Jets did not set him up for success. And therefore, because of that, like, he looked worse than what he actually was. Like, he got mono early, and I think we talked about it. I think even
we talked about it.
Talked about it last week, or
I think it was last week or the week before that. Yeah.
and he got
He has
mono.
weapons now.
Yeah, he has some weapons to throw to. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Christian McCaffrey out the backfield, who's hurt right now, but he still looks good. Um, he always had that Brett Favre in him where he's gonna gamble, so that's why his touchdown to interceptions isn't where it should be, but he still does a really good job. Got him over here. What did he go? He went 26 for 39 with 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions in his last game. And on the season, he's averaging 68% completion percentage. Yes.
Yeah, and he's competing without Christian McCaffrey the last game, who is also someone who has a really high snap share and someone who can be used in the backfield as a receiver, as a running back. You know, he's a true safety valve. He's an offensive weapon. He's almost an offensive himself. So to be able to continue to be competitive, I definitely agree with you there with the Panthers in terms of, okay, you have DJ Moore, you have what do you say, Robbie Anderson, you have Terrence Marshall Jr., and you always need a quarterback to help elevate that offense. So yeah, definitely, man.
And his ability to push the ball down the field.
Yes,
I don't think it can be under. I don't think you can ignore that talent. Like Teddy Bridgewater is a good quarterback, but he's like the good safe quarterback.
Yeah,
he's not gonna lose games for you, but he's not gonna have these huge games with spectacular plays. He's just a good, consistent, great leader. So I don't want to make him, because I feel like Teddy Bridgewater is very underrated. He's definitely a starting quarterback. So for him to be coming off the bench for people and not being a starter, like I think in Minnesota he proved what he was. It just at a certain point their expectation for what he was supposed to be was unrealistic to where his talent level was.
Right. And I think when you look at the Saints situation also, remember he filled in for Drew Brees those games. And the issue with Bridgewater was actually downfield throwing. Like he can get it downfield, but that's not his specialty, like the deep downfield vertical passing game. You know what I'm saying? He has a cap. But he's a good quarterback. You know, he's not just going to throw 10 interceptions, but it's just that you need a little more juice with him.
Right. And to go on my last, you kind of touched on it as well. My Super Bowl pick might be in jeopardy by the team I actually picked to win their division or their conference.
The Rams are in jeopardy.
Like the Rams, they just look like they didn't come to play. Mm-hmm. So at the same time, I would expect them to play better in a rematch. I think they just look really bad, and but the Cardinals at the same time look dominant.
Yeah,
like the one thing that's crazy to me is we all talked about Kyler Murray being so small, but it's like watching him throw the football, where like it just looks like the ball just, I don't know what it is about his
little. He has great ball placement, man. Like,
yes.
Oh my goodness.
He just threw a quick flick of the wrist and the ball's 50 yards down the field. He doing all this off back foot on the run, people in his face. But
it's like crazy.
He just throws a really good ball. They have a lot of talent on that team on offense and defense. You got Chandler Jones on one side, J.J. Watt on the other, Isaiah Simmons in the middle, Buda Baker in the back. And it's just like, yes, it's a lot of talent on that team. So it makes me a little nervous on my pick. But at the same time, Sean McVay is a great coach. Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey play with a passion that I don't think they're going to be cool with getting smacked like that, because they got smacked.
Yeah.
So we're going to see what happens going forward. But those are my three takeaways.
I like that. I like those takeaways. And I was going to just kind of add a little piece on that when you mentioned about how they lost. I was listening to, this morning, some breakdown of the game. And you can also look at it as styles make fights. And I don't even think them losing this game makes them like necessarily super in trouble, only because I think we're going to go through our power rankings, but I've seen a lot of the consensus ranking is the Cardinals are the best team in the NFL right now. And so, okay, you lose to the best team in the NFL. Yes, they are in your division, but it's a division matchup. Okay. So those are always tough. But then when you look at how the defense plays and how it's built for the Rams, it's all about interior pressure with Aaron Donald, right? Kyler Murray, he's a mobile quarterback, and you have to get him and contain. You have to contain those quarterbacks, and you have to have a spy on him. So he can easily go left and right. They don't have anyone on the edge to really contain him. So he ran all through. And I say that because a perfect example, actually, I can kind of segue into this, is still one of the biggest plays of that game was a 3rd and 16 play. And Kyler Murray, the pressure was coming, and he was able to evade the pressure, roll out to his left, and run down the sideline and make a critical first down on 3rd and 16. You're running 16 yards as your quarterback, right? And he has wheels, but still, like, it's plays like those, being able to extend the drive when there's nothing down the field. So I look at the Rams. I still think they're a great football team. They were able to beat the defending Super Bowl champs in Tampa Bay. No, excuse me, at home, but they were able to beat the defending Super Bowl champs. Matthew Stafford, for me, I think he elevates that offense, Cooper Kupp and others. And I agree with you. I think they're going to be motivated off this loss. And this could really continue to help the Rams go on a run. But I think in terms of just how scary they are, bro, like, yeah, on paper, the Cardinals are becoming what we thought they could be on paper, right? And that's the scariest thing about it. And then you look at a guy like James Conner, he has open running lanes now because you have to account for Kyler Murray, just like you have to account for Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. That opens up running lanes. So, yeah, man. So I wouldn't feel too bad about your pick, because I think for me and for a lot of people there's going to be people who drink the Kool-Aid, but still, once again, this is the regular season. And the playoffs, we see who's real and who's not real. And I like Aaron Donald. I like Jalen Ramsey in the playoffs, and we still have yet to see what Kyler Murray does in the playoffs. We still have yet to see what some of those guys have done in the playoffs. So we'll see. But yeah, I like those takeaways, man. Those are some great ones.
And to use that to segue into our top 10 NFL power ranking. Pretty much we're gonna start from 10.
Okay.
And kind of just throw out names out there. Who'd you have at your 10?
All right, you ain't gonna like it, but they're in my 10, especially after last night, though, because I had them higher, but I didn't have them super high. I think I had them like 7 to 6. I got the Vegas Raiders, man. I got the Vegas Raiders. At my 10. Reason I had the Vegas Raiders at 10. I actually believe, as currently constructed right now and through the play, the Chargers are the team right now in the AFC West. I believe they're the most complete team in that division. I believe that the AFC West and the AFC North are the 2 toughest divisions in the AFC. But I look at I look at the offensive line, like we talked about before the show, of the Las Vegas Raiders, and that causes concern for me. When I look at playing a team with Frank Clark and Chris Jones, when I look at playing a team against Joey Bosa and all those different pass rushers in that division, and that being a problem, Leatherwood being an issue, the inability to block interior pressure and being too reliant on what's his face, who's the Darren Waller, excuse me, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Delaney Walker, the quarterback. Yeah, I'm so sorry, but the Broncos were 3-0, but we're looking at moving forward, right? They lost their starting quarterback. There's a huge drop off from Teddy Bridgewater to Drew Lock. Their defense is great. Von Miller had 4.5 sacks through 4 games. But I would say right now, as currently constructed, I have to have the Chargers ahead of you guys in that division. But I have them number 10, the Las Vegas Raiders, on my power rankings. Who do you have at number 10?
And I have the Baltimore Ravens at 10.
Oh, that's funny. All right.
So, like, for me, man, I think that there's a number of teams. I think when I started going through this list, to be honest, I had to really sit down and really come to terms with the fact that I was you have to nitpick.
Yeah.
With this. So it's like, at a certain point, Lamar does have some overthrows and inaccuracy problems. The defense can be had and scored on. Because sometimes they have too many mental lapses, and they start and they gamble a little too much to where they kind of open up other deficiencies that they have. But I do think that they've made some really good adjustments. We talked about it after we beat them about they normally are able to create pressure because their corners can guard one on one. Well, now
Yeah.
you have a Marcus Peters who goes down. What are they going to do next? And so far, you showed that it's next man up, and you still can pretty much guard on the island. So now it's
Right.
just a matter of can those people sustain playing for a full season and playing at that high level, or are they just going to go spurts where they have you're able to lock up Tyreek Hill on this end, and then this receiver is doing this. So because so far Hollywood actually, and my next pick is the my next team is actually the Raiders at 9. The usage of Henry of Suggs too, or not Suggs, Ruggs.
Yeah.
The usage of Henry Ruggs and Hollywood Brown, like we've seen them open up the route tree to a certain degree. We've seen them open up the playbook and get them more involved to where they're not just jet sweeps and 9 routes.
Yeah. The playbook matters a lot with teams. And I think for the Ravens, for me personally, it's when I look at a team like the Ravens, as it's so crazy because it's injuries, so many different injuries, but also being objective about it is I'm looking at injuries and I'm also looking at when you're playing teams like Detroit and you leave points on the board. I don't like that. Like we won, but it took a 66-yard field goal from Justin Tucker to win, right? But in defense of Lamar, and while he may have some inaccuracies in terms of some of the deep ball, like overthrows, he is leading the league in yards per attempt this season by a wide margin. And he's also improved greatly in terms of throwing outside the numbers, which was his biggest weakness actually last year. And then this year, without having Rashad Bateman, without having some of those other guys using Tylan Wallace, I don't know why we're not using Tylan Wallace. Pretty much the whole entire game versus the Broncos, with the exception of the Hollywood Brown throw, touchdown throw, he actually threw outside the numbers, which a lot of people didn't talk about. He was throwing outside the numbers, and he threw for 316 passing yards. So he broke the 300 passing yard mark versus a defense that was number 8, the number 8 ranked defense of the Denver Broncos. So for me personally, I think being able to go into Denver, into Mile High Stadium, playing at that elevation, playing against that pass rush with Bradley Chubb and Von Miller, who had 4.5 sacks, without your all-pro left tackle Ronnie Stanley, and you had Patrick McCarry having to defend him and things of that nature. I have them higher, right? I have them mid-tier, but I understand that the Ravens are not a finished product. And so them and a couple of other teams, because every team gets injured in the NFL.
Right.
Like even the Cowboys had injuries. But it's so hard to gauge sometimes until you see, you know what I'm saying? Just like with the Bucs. That's why I'm actually intrigued to hear where you have the Bucs on your list when we get there. But for my number 9, because you said you had the
Raiders,
right? So I had the Raiders at 9. No, I had the Raiders at 10. And I want to make this disclaimer to people. Just because a team has a 4-0 or 3-1 record doesn't mean that we're necessarily going in order of the record. Because I look at who you played, who you have on your team, you know, et cetera, like that. The Kansas City Chiefs are down in my list. I don't have them in my top 5, top 6, top 7. But I do have them number 9. I know I have number 9. And here's the thing. All right. So they beat the Browns. They came from behind to beat the Browns, right? All right, cool, whatever. Why they were down behind the Browns, whatever. You know, you can talk about it. But they had Tyrann Mathieu out. They had, I believe, Frank Clark and Chris Jones out. Okay. Then they play the Ravens. They get those guys back. The Ravens had to play from behind. Most of their roster was injured. Okay, they take the L. The following week, they lost to, I believe it was the Chargers, right? They lost to the Chargers, right? And then this week, they pretty much, the offense went nuclear versus the Eagles. The biggest issue I have with the Chiefs, right, is I want people to understand this, is they have a great offense. Last week, they showed they have a great offense. But their run defense is garbage. Their run defense is garbage. You can run on the Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes has to almost play a perfect game for them to, you know what I'm saying? And so that's an issue that I have with the Chiefs. But outside of that, I don't really have an issue with them, and I'm projecting them throughout the rest of the season. I think now that was kind of the wake-up call that they needed. So I think it really depends on what you're looking at in terms of the ranking. So I could actually have the Raiders ahead of them because I think you have them ahead of them or not. I'm not sure. So, but yeah, that's where I have a number 9. So who's your number 18?
And so for the sake of time, I'm gonna try to get us to stick to 30 seconds when we tell our teams.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
So my number 8 team, I got the Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay.
I think that they are clearly the best team in the AFC West as we speak. Spoiler alert: I do not have the Chiefs in my top 10.
Okay.
I think
That's
that,
fair.
and someone I'm going to end up mentioning, you're a drop punt away from being 1-3. And that team being 4-0. So I just think that in order, and you have too many deficiencies to where, like you said, Mahomes does have to play perfect. Where these other teams that are on my list, it's hard for me as a team say that you're a better team than these people. Where the Raiders can run the ball and play good defense, but have Derek Carr have a bad game, and they're still in games where if they're running the ball, Mahomes still has to be putting up points at the end of the day because the defense is going to be giving up points.
That's true. That's true.
And one thing that like these Chiefs teams have had is an ability to they bend but don't break type of defense, and I don't think that doesn't put you in the top 10 for me.
Okay.
So the Los Angeles Chargers are at 8 for me.
Number 8 for me, I have the Chargers. So I actually don't have anything else to say about that because we both have the Chargers at 8. So we can move on to your 7. So we both have the Chargers at 8. There you go.
And so Green Bay Packers are my 7.
All right. So I have nothing to say about that either. I have them at 7. But if you want to go on, I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. The defense is playing good.
Okay.
Best big 3, like you said. At 6, I got the Cowboys.
Okay. So that's where we have a little different. All right.
At 6, I have the Cowboys. Their defense is playing much better than we anticipated them playing. We were looking to see if people would make that next level, if Micah Parsons would meet the expectations. Dak is doing Dak-like things. They are a Tom Brady GOAT moment away from being 4-0. And I think that they've impressed me, but we'll see what happens. A lot of times Cowboys start out great, end up with short end of stick, but they're playing really good right now, and I think that they're clearly the best team in the NFC East, and the Redskins are disappointing me.
Hey, yeah, the Redskins, man, or the Washington football team. I keep forgetting it.
My bad, my fault, y'all.
In the stream. No.
Right.
All right. So number 6, I had the Cleveland Browns at 3-1. Yes, they lost to the Chiefs, but that was without Odell Beckham. They did give up that lead, but they are actually number 1 in rushing yards over the Baltimore Ravens this year. They are also number 4 in opponents' points per game. But the only reason why they're outside of my top 5, I look at their wins. They had wins over the Houston Texans, Chicago, where the defense played really good with Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney. I believe that their pass rush is for real. That was the dream scenario pass rush that they always wanted, was to pair Myles Garrett with another perennial pass rusher on that other side. And Myles Garrett, I have to give credence to the defense. Myles Garrett did break the franchise single game, I believe, sack record in that game. I think he had like 5 or 6 sacks in that game versus a rookie quarterback in Justice Fields. But they recently struggled versus the Minnesota Vikings, where they're only able to put 14 points on the board. And the Cleveland Browns and the dog pound is coming at Baker. They've been coming at him during the game and all in the beginning of the week. They've been, tweeting at him the whole 9. So I believe that once Odell when he comes back, he's a little too reliant on Odell Beckham. And Beckham's been playing well, but that's the problem. It's you need to utilize the run to set up the pass. Also, they had an injury to Jarvis Landry, if we remember that too.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at
Which
those
is
things.
opening things up for Odell Beckham.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, though, it's like, okay, you know where the football is going to. It's just that you need to stop it. But I've always believed that the Browns always had a top 3 running game in the NFL. It's always been Ravens, Titans, and Browns in terms of the rushing game. So yeah, the Browns are my number 6 team at 3-1. What's your number 5, Ralph?
Them Browns.
Okay. So we kind of close to things, man. Yeah.
and for every reason that you just said,
Okay.
I think that their game travels once it gets into colder weather and you play outside if you got to go to Cleveland. So I would put them over the Cowboys for that reason.
Okay. My number 5, I have them comfortably at number 5. I have the Baltimore Ravens at number 5. And with them, I'm looking at they did lose to the Raiders. I believe, and I give all credit. We talked about this in the show. I give all credit to the Las Vegas Raiders for winning that game when they did have the opportunity to win the game. I also believe they did ride that momentum. New stadium. Now the Ravens are on the road. Okay, woo, week 1. They came back. They bounced back against another AFC West opponent, but a team that had a psychological edge and had out-schemed them and beat them 3 times before, and the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the team that a lot of people and pundits believe the Ravens need to get over that hump. They're able to do that. 15 different players, injured, people on injured reserve. They didn't have Rashad Bateman. They had all-pro left tackle Ronnie Stanley out. Okay. The loss of J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards for the season. You're implementing a rookie running back and Tyson Williams. You look at all those different things. They go down early due to a Lamar Jackson interception, and they're able to play from behind against a premier offense with Patrick Mahomes playing almost nearly a flawless game if he had not thrown, interception. You know what I'm saying? So they were able to win the game 30, I believe it was 36-35. So I look at that where I see the Browns, they actually lost the game despite being up. So I give credence to the Ravens doing that. Then they went to Detroit. They beat Detroit. Then they went to a 3-0 Denver team, and they beat Denver. So I think the Ravens, they're the most scary team in the AFC because they're going to start getting guys back. They got Brandon Williams back last game. They got Justin Houston back last game. Rashad Bateman just got activated off the IR, and he's been practicing Miles Boykin. So I think at number 5, I like the Ravens at number 5 right now for me personally.
And then at 4, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
Injuries in the DB core are making them struggle on defense. If they're not able to get home, they're not able to guard.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, I want to say he didn't even have a touchdown in his last
2 games
thrown.
Yeah.
In this last game. So for me, I don't know where this team goes from here. Obviously, we believe Tom Brady, just like the LeBrons of the world, the Pat Mahomes, they'll figure it out and get their team going good. But they're just not better than these last 3 teams I have.
Okay. So my that was number 4, right?
Yeah.
Number 4, I have the Buffalo Bills. They did take a home loss to the Steelers, and I think we can agree that Big Ben is washed, right? And that game surprised a lot of people, but also week 1, I would say week 1 is kind of like the preseason. That's how I feel. Because week 1, a lot of things happen in week 1, but since then, they've beaten every single team in front of them. Yes, they played, I believe, Miami. Yes, they played, I believe, Houston. But I always look at not necessarily always when you win, but how you win, and they're beating these teams handily. Anytime you can shut out an NFL team, I look at that. Because I look at teams like the Ravens in the AFC. I look at teams like the Chiefs. And I look at some of the teams that they play. When you play lesser tier teams like the Eagles, you need to be holding them to 10 points, 14 points, 7 points. Right. So for the Bills to be able to come in and do that, they're getting takeaways. Josh Allen is being explosive. Emmanuel Sanders is coming in. Freaking Cole Beasley, 11, 13 targets. So the Buffalo Bills are a very dangerous team. We know what the Buffalo Bills are as a team so far. So I like that. So I have them at number 4 over a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then we can rattle off these last 3.
I got the Los Angeles Rams at number 3.
Okay.
Them getting shellacked like that to a team in their division, which
Yeah.
is also have them above them.
Okay.
Uh, just they're for every we talked about them already where I think they'll get to, but they're just not better than the other two teams right now.
All right. And I got the Rams at 3 as well. For everything
And
that you
then
said.
and then I got your number three at 2 for Buffalo
Okay.
Bills. We did watch them lose to the Steelers. Steelers have a
Mm-hmm.
great defense, um, probably top 5 defense. But at the same time, like they do have Big Ben, who we both agree needs to retire.
Yeah.
So, but I, but like you, for every reason that you said, you're still trying to get used to your team, how your team's going to work on the field. So I'm gonna throw away that first loss and look at how the Bills have been playing since then. We'll see once they start playing division games, and how that works as far as where they stand with playing equal talent.
Okay. And number 2, because I cannot be biased, I have to give credit where credit is due for me personally. I believe that the Dallas Cowboys right now are the second best team in the NFL. We talk about, at least I should say, I know I talk a lot about the best quarterback, running back, wide receiver trio. Devontae Adams puts the Packers ahead in that trio for me. But the Cowboys have a great trio in their own, and Dak, Zeke, Amari Cooper. You could even throw CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup in terms of having a plethora of weapons. Um, Zeke Elliott is actually number 3 in rushing this year as a running back, despite the fact they lost. I believe it was Ellis. I believe their left tackle was. I believe that's his name. But yeah, they had uh, offensive line trouble, and a lot of people thought that was going to be a hindrance in week 1. But that's why we say don't overreact to week 1, right?
Yeah.
Michael Parsons and Trayvon Diggs has paid dividends. They're getting turnovers on the defensive end. They're number 5 in third down conversions this year in the entire league. So when they're in third down situations, they are converting them. They're also number 2 in rushing yards this year. They're number 4 in points per game this year. And they only lost to the defending champs on the road by 3 points. So I believe that Dak Prescott, his ability to come off an injury and play at the level that he's playing with, the defense getting able to get turnovers, and they're able to beat you from the air and on the ground. I believe the Dallas Cowboys sitting at 3-1 comfortably. They're the number 2 team in the NFL for me.
And then so that means we both agree on the same number 1 team.
Yep.
And for every reason that we mentioned in the last segment, they've just been playing at a high level. Kyler Murray clicking on all cylinders, getting Christian Kirk involved, AJ Green, D Hop. Was it Chase Edwards?
Chase Edmonds, Chase Edmonds.
Chase Edmonds, James Conner. They're clicking on offense, clicking on defense.
Yep.
And for all those reasons, we'll probably end up doing another one in week 8. And let's
on to the next one. On to the next one.
That one for the sake of time.
All right.
And it's been a wild off season.
Yeah.
We kind of figured something was going to be happening with you needing to be vaccinated to get into certain music festivals and things like that. That it would get to a certain point where, in order for you to be able to come play here, you have to be vaccinated. We know these players are very individuals. Some people are not getting vaccinated. Some people are cool with being vaccinated. Andrew Wiggins actually ended up getting vaccinated after making headlines that he was not. Bradley Beal had some questions at his media day. Kyrie Irving asked for us to appreciate his privacy. And it's been a big thing, and NBA has come out and talked about fines for unvaccinated players. Do you think this is fair?
Me personally, I don't believe it's fair. And I just want to preface the comments with this. So they're not necessarily forcing all the players to be necessarily quote unquote vaccinated. It's in certain states though, local. So due to the local, which is the San Francisco, New York, and I think, San Francisco, New York, right? Yep.
Yeah.
San Francisco and New York, because I have it right up here. Yep, it says NBA spokesman Mike Bass says any player who elects not to comply with local vaccination mandates will not be paid for the games that he misses. So local guidelines in New York and San Francisco will prevent unvaccinated Knicks, Nets, and Warriors players from entering their home arena games. Visiting players will follow different protocols. So this is for the home teams. So Kyrie Irving, they're making him the forefront of it because he, his vaccination status being in question, wanting to be private. And I don't believe it's fair because I feel like it's a violation of freedom of choice. Now, the NBA is going down on this due to local because it's, a local guideline or law or whatever. So they're putting this down, but it's still someone's choice. It should be someone's choice. I actually kind of like what Jonathan Isaac said about it. His mom was a healthcare, and he's not on the Brooklyn Nets, but healthcare official. He talked about potential adverse effects of just taking the vaccine when he's not in the demographic who's really great at risk per se. So I think it's just a choice thing. And I don't like anytime you have the freedom of choice stripped from a player. I'm just not a fan of it. And also you're talking about $380,000 for each game missed. That's a lot. That adds up. You know what we could do with $380,000 in our personal lives? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think when you're dabbling with that type of money, it's like, nah, you know what I'm saying? But as of now, it's been reported that about 95% of NBA players have been vaccinated. I just don't like the fact that, it's being forced upon players to do this, considering that we look at, the normal, regular, everyday human being seeing bribes and different companies bribing money and different things of that nature. My stance has always been this: do what makes you feel comfortable in your best interest of you, your family, your loved ones. But anytime when they're trying to force something on someone's body, I'm just not cool with it. Just my personal moral compass of how I feel. So do you think it's fair, unfair?
I've been kind of
It's a
going back and
deep
forth
thing.
because like I understand like how I'm about to be say how what I'm about to say and how it can be used.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like I've always had the mindset, and I've come to realize this. Although we go to work and we complain about certain things, if you don't like something, you got to start your own company or work for
Facts.
yourself. And it's
Yeah.
like I get it. It is. I do personally feel like it is a low key infringement on rights. I liked what Draymond Green had to say at his uh, at a media day press conference, and they asked him some questions about it. And I think that like we've got to a certain point where we have pushed the American dream, and the government should never do. It should never get to a point where it's like a dictatorship where
Hmm.
you have rights as a people, and there's this, and this that's supposed to be here to uphold those rights, and we'll never tell you what you like 100% have to do and things like that. But
Yeah.
it's like we've sold that, but then said, "No, f all that. This is what you're gonna do." So
Mm.
that's why I think that we got to stop comparing ourselves to like, oh well, over in Europe, everybody's taking the vaccine and it's not a big deal. It's like,
It's
well,
always
over in
over in
Europe,
Europe, right?
where
Yeah,
all
yeah,
over Europe, there's so many different countries where you can't even voice your opinion on an elected official if it's not positive, or you can literally be killed. So I don't even want
right.
to compare the two
Over in
things,
Europe. Yeah.
right? And
And
so it's
people who
like,
mention over in Europe, my bad. I was gonna say people that mention over in Europe, most of them they've never even lived in Europe. So
right. So it's like I get it. I get it to a certain degree. We are spoiled, I guess you can say. But like I just think at the end of the day, like what Draymond Green said, and he used the analogy of having like like when a player misses a game because his wife is giving birth. Like
Mm,
that's no one should be looking at a health status or a health situation or medical situation looking like, oh, but this person is being selfish. If I have my reason for not doing it, just respect that I have a reason for not doing it.
all right.
And it's like what works for you doesn't work for me. So it's like I don't get where people get so in their feelings about certain things where
Yeah.
it just depends on the situation is how they feel about it. It's like no, like there are some situations that compare to each other. So it's like you shouldn't be overstepping one boundary over the other. So like I understand why people would say it's unfair, but I believe it's fair because it's like if you don't like it, like you can always work for yourself.
Yeah. Start the big three.
Because like the thing I was just telling somebody yesterday, it's like as much as we sit here, we say, "Oh, we're Lakers fans," or "I'm a Bulls fan," and it's like the team I like now is different than the team that made me like the Bulls. So I get it. Like we kind of fall enamored with the organization at a certain point, but if that team never had good players, you wouldn't care.
I'm a Hornets fan now, just for the record, guys.
Right.
But we'll get
But
into
it's
that.
like,
But I get
yeah,
what you're saying.
like it's one of those things that like if the best
Yeah.
NBA players left and started their own league,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be watching the teams that we care that much about.
True. That's really true, actually.
So it's like
Yeah.
if you don't like it, like I think LeBron was the first player to really understand the power he had and enforce his will on organizations. So it's like I would be interested to see if that ever happens, which I never think it will. But at the end of the day, if you don't like it, just you gotta either create your own or find a way to enforce your leverage on the team. Because if so many players, if LeBron, KD, James Harden, Chris Paul all decided like, oh, well, we're not getting vaccinated, so I'm not going to play, and just sat out the season, people would be money would be the amount of money that it would affect would make a decision where NBA would be like, you know what, we're gonna do what we want, or we're just not gonna come to your city.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to come to your city.
And where the money that it would affect because of how, if you've been paying attention, the U.S. debt, is starting to get to a certain level where some people are, even whole counties are going bankrupt and things like that. So it's
which is insane,
right? Which, but that's a whole nother topic for another day, for another show. But the amount of money that it would affect is crazy, because it's like it would definitely change things to where I think that people would start to question some of the decisions that are being made.
Good. No, I agree. I have nothing left on that topic. I think you broke that down perfectly, man.
Perfect. And then with that, I think that we mentioned them before. If it happens, and Kyrie Irving is not able to play, or he decides to stay unvaccinated, can the Nets win without Kyrie?
Okay, so I'll make this quick for the sake of time. Me personally, I don't believe that the Brooklyn Nets can win the championship without Kyrie Irving. And I actually don't have them winning the championship this year, which is going to, I know, shocker for a lot of people. But I'll break that down in another stream, another video when we're in the studio. Maybe next week we can, go over, who we have winning the championship, MVPs, all that kind of stuff. But Kyrie Irving had his best season in his entire career last year. He averaged 27 points per game, 40% from three, 50% from the field, 92% from the free throw line, 0.7 blocks. That was the most he ever had in his entire career. Mind you, his best defensive season as well. And when I look at the Brooklyn Nets, I always ask people this, right? Did Mike D'Antoni, as a head coach, when he had multiple great teams, right, did he ever win a championship? No. That was always his Achilles heel. He couldn't win. He didn't know how to win. Steve Nash, as a player, did he win a championship? No. Last year as a rookie, did Steve Nash, rookie head coach, did he prove that he knew how to make the proper adjustments in the conference finals? No. He kept ice cold guys like Joe Harris. And I'll continue to, my expression, beat the dead horse throughout the offseason. I can't stand the fact that he kept Joe Harris in there. He didn't give Speedy Claxton minutes when he needed to, right? And so he looked completely lost, and he didn't know what he was doing. So now I look at that bench, and I'm like, where is the championship pedigree and the championship DNA? Then I look at the roster, and I am a strong component, and I will continue to tell people this. I'm completely serious. I still don't think people really, truly understand. Some people do, but there's some people out there who truly don't understand how indefensible and insane this Brooklyn Nets team is on offense. You're talking about, to me, right? This is the greatest offense of all time when they're clicking, because James Harden optimizes everything they can do. Kyrie Irving is in this optimal position, and KD can do anything, right? So from an offense standpoint, But then when you look deeper at the players, James Harden, he's a great regular season player, right? But when he faces elimination and when he faces game sevens, he freezes up. We have a large enough sample size now where if Kyrie Irving is gone, you've lost a guy who arguably made the greatest shot, I believe, in my opinion. You might believe is MJ, which I respect, in NBA Finals history. In Game 7, on the road, having been down 3-1 over the MVP, he pretty much, hey, LeBron cleared out, ISO, Curry, step back, Jay in your face, three-point shot, right?
Right.
So that's pretty much, okay, they won the series. He has the clutch gene. KD has the clutch gene. James Harden has not shown in his playoff history outside of the bubble, and the bubble fooled people, right? It was like the show Lost. You see things that really aren't there. He fooled people in the bubble when he got that block on or Chris Paul or whatever. So James Harden is not someone that I can rely on in the playoffs. I cannot rely on the coaching staff. I like the depth of the Brooklyn Nets, and I have James Harden as being my MVP, Ralph. This year, I actually believe either him or AD is going to win the MVP. I believe James Harden is going to play a complimentary amount of games, and I believe that Kyrie Irving is going to miss games, a la either due to injury or due to just not being unvaccinated. And I have issues with some of that chemistry in that team where at some point you can't continue to ask questions about Kyrie Irving and the vaccine and anything else that he may be. And I respect Kyrie Irving, anything else he might go on personal leave or whatever. So I just think that there's another team in the East that I would place my Bucks on, whatchamacallit, that I think has more chemistry and continuity, like what I did there, right? Than that team. If Kyrie, yeah, exactly. I was waiting. So, then I would place my money on if Kyrie Irving is not playing. You know what I'm saying? So if you're further stripping away their chances, because I'm looking at it like this. My last point. The more I look at the Lakers team, the more I listen to them, the more I start to think, and the more I look at how versatile they are, and hearing AD and seeing what AD looks like this season in the West, I believe the Lakers are actually going to wind up in the championship in the NBA Finals. And so that's where I feel like the Nets will really need Kyrie Irving. And so in my head, I don't see LeBron, Russ, AD when they go small, right? The Brooklyn Nets, you can't take away Kyrie Irving, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not going to just be like, oh, yeah, man, LeBron's just going to be stupid and he doesn't know how to beat this team. Nah. I feel a lot more confident in James Harden, Kyrie, and KD than James Harden on the NBA Finals stage. You know, like, we haven't seen him on the finals, bro, so we don't know. We trust KD. Me and you, we like KD. We know what KD's going to do. KD's going to get 50 on anybody. I don't care who the defender is. He proved it. But I don't believe in James Harden yet, and I don't believe in the coaching staff. So, but I think they can win 57 games this year.
This is what I say.
All right, go ahead, man.
If I'm the Nets,
okay.
Hot take here.
Oh, go with it. I love when we do hot takes and devil's
purpose.
Okay.
Lose home court advantage.
Okay.
So
I kind of follow. Okay,
we lose home court. 4 games at Bay House.
That's smart.
So now you don't lose Kyrie unless you play the Warriors.
Okay, conspiracy theorists over here, man. No, but you might be onto something, bro.
It's like, because I'm like, bro, I'm looking at this team, bro.
Yeah, they're nice.
Marcus Aldridge back.
Yep, Javon Carter.
You add a Javon Carter. You add a James Johnson. You add was it Sekou from Detroit? You trade for him in the I think it was a 3-team trade with. I think that's how they ended up getting him in the Spencer Dinwiddie trade. You add a Paul Millsap and a Patty Mills, so it's like you get toughness, which is something that you would say that the team was more of a more finesse team.
Yeah.
Then as even with those players that I named to add with a KD, a Kyrie, and a James, a LaMarcus Aldridge who can hit a mid-range pick, protect the rim. James Johnson who can guard from 2 to 4. Big physical, got a black belt and everything that you can think of. So that's not somebody you want to throw hands with.
Nah.
Paul Millsap and Patty Mills give them some veteran deep playoff run.
Now, Patty Mills, I think, did make the finals in 14. Was he gonna have 14 squad? Patty Mills?
So,
I think he does have this. That was the one guy. Because we
and
like
then,
Patty.
and
We
then
like
Cam
that.
Thomas, and we've heard me talk about Cam
Mhm.
Thomas and what I think of him. So I think with
Yeah.
as far as their future,
Mhm.
where how he develops will say how potent that offense can get
Yeah.
because he's a shot creator and a big shot taker. So to partner him with a James Harden, a Kyrie, and a KD with the talent that he already has, he could end up being to where when one of them gets older, he takes the mantle, or if one of them leaves, he takes the mantle.
No, I agree, and that's why I think and we can get in this, get into this more like next week. But my conference finals, I believe we're going to get a rematch, but it's going to be in the conference finals now with the Bucks and the Nets, and it's going to be really fun. I think that Miami might actually wind up playing depending because this is projection, because no games have been played, but
Right.
I believe that Miami might wind up playing Brooklyn in the first round, and that will take some, or the second round that will take something out of the Nets. You know what I'm saying? But I
Yeah.
like what you said there because I think it's just like I think almost in a way it's a preference thing as well, but it depends on what you're looking at and how you're looking at it because you could make the case, you could be like, hey, okay, Kai, and I've heard people say this. Kyrie Irving uh, being more rested. Maybe that can preserve his health, not having to play the home games. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But I still didn't necessarily always like the chemistry of the team. But when they were on the court together, it was beautiful because I always said when James Harden is not there, their 2 minute offense, I call it their 2 minute offense. Like Kyrie and KD would just take really bad shots. But the problem, the funny thing with them is if there's two people, if I told you who are the two people you want to take a bad shot in the NBA, rest in peace to Kobe right now, because Kobe's, no longer with
Right.
us. It's KD and Kyrie. So
Right.
it's like, okay.
And then
But
Dame after that.
right. So it's like okay, you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. But as a coach, you still want to force them to take a bad shot and get an open look.
Oh,
So once
facts.
they get hard in there, and so that's why I think me and you, like we always try to tell viewers and just people in general, because I saw a lot of Laker fans stuff laugh last year. They're like, oh, this team's gonna beat the Lakers. Yeah, last year's Lakers. But but this year, if they're all healthy, bro, like the team is dangerous. They definitely, I believe, deserve the right for people to be like, okay, this team can be in Don Dada, but I'm not going to sit here and obviously disrespect the defending champs because I see things from them that they've done that I believe that a lot of people are overlooking. But yeah, without Kyrie Irving, just me personally, um, yeah, man, they're going to need Kyrie. I think he gets a lot of flack in the media, but I believe that they'll because he looked like he was on a mission last year.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, his stats tell you he was on a mission, but I believe
Yeah.
they're going to beat Kyrie. So we'll see. We'll see, man. I'm excited, bro. I don't know about you, but this is the most excited I think I've been in the NBA since like 2012.
Yeah. I'm excited one because my team is actually going to be good.
Where do you think they're going to
Overseas.
land? Like seeding, just projection real quick.
All right. So I said
Just,
4.
okay.
Yeah.
I got y'all at 6.
Yeah. I said 4. It just depends. It depends what happens with the Sixers,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then if the Heat health can hold up. But I
Yeah.
said 4, but I have us like right in that realm where the Sixers and Heat could be.
Some things break your way.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I got the Heat as a fifth team. They're going to be a nice 5 team. I think they might have the best defense in the league between them and Milwaukee. But I think in the playoffs, though, that the lack of scoring on that team, shot creators are going to be an issue. So yeah, but yeah, man. As always, bro, it's a great session, great show.
Yeah. I'm really happy. Sorry y'all for the people that's been watching for the internet connection over here, but it's cool, man. My daughter has been giving my dad all he can handle. If you can hear in the background,
I didn't really hear her, so you
oh,
doing
you didn't
good.
hear it? I
Nah.
was, at one point she was screaming at him. I was just like,
Oh,
yo,
really?
oh
Oh, man.
yeah, Elena let him have it. She definitely has my personality. She's gonna let you have it.
She was like, I wanted the extra large pizza, not a small.
It's like I was watching something with her earlier, and they were like, "No,
Yeah.
I don't like it," and like I was just like, "Is that where you learned that from?" Because I was just like,
Right.
"Yeah, we got to go potty," and she was like, "No, I don't like it." I'm just like, "Where did you hear? Who told you I don't like it?"
Yeah.
And now
Who
that's your.
told you these things?
But thank you all for watching. Make sure you catch us on Instagram. I know I said this last week, and I got to get better at this, but life happens. I will start posting the individual segments on IGTV on our personal uh, for the podcast Instagram page. Just make
Okay.
sure you go and what is it? Yeah, at J.U.K. Sports Show. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok as well at KYNGRALPH. Like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Has the same name as the Facebook page for the people that like the Facebook page, the He Say She Say channel.
And you can follow me on Instagram at the.house of hoops. That's once again at the.house of hoops. Brand new logo. Doing some new branding over there. You can expect within the next 2 weeks, I'm going to have seedings for each conference, as well as break down the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year awards, Rookie of the Year predictions. So that's pretty much what I have going on over at the House of Hoops on the horizon as well. So definitely follow both pages. All right.
All right. And then next week I will start I think this week I was probably started where the week prior to this you will be able to watch um pretty much a rerun you can say. We'll record and I'll put in it live on Tuesday and on Thursday I will post the week prior. Um so you'll be able to catch up on what we were talking about from week to week. But thank you all for watching. Let's get out of here.
Peace.